Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Finding Documents Fast in Microsoft 365. Before we get started, here are a few important messages. During the webinar, you are welcome to submit questions via the chat window on your screen. We will try to answer the questions at the end of today's webinar. If we don't answer your question, don't worry, Harmony person will answer you via email. As always, we will make a recording of this webcast available to you within a couple of days. You will get a link via email to the recorded webinar. I would like to introduce today's speaker, David Lavender, Harmony Chief Product Officer. David is an expert in workplace collaboration strategies. He's also an international scholar for the Society for the History of Technology. His academic research concentrates on overload experienced by workers during information revolutions, like the current one in social media. David, please.
Thank you, Maya. Welcome everybody to today's webinar, Finding Documents Fast in Microsoft 365. Today, everything is fast. We got to move fast, working from home, working in a hybrid mode, and because our business depends on documents and being able to trade documents and communicate with people and collaborate with people, finding that information quickly and being able to share it, edit it, share it back again, that's the story of moving business forward. What's the problem? And that's why we're all here today, is that there are just too many places, or there are many places, maybe too many places to store information and documents in Microsoft 365. So let's just go through a few of these. I'm sure this is a problem that you're all familiar with, but we'll just go through this briefly. So you've got Outlook. Outlook is email, of course. It's what Microsoft says is for formal communications with, oftentimes with outside partners, like suppliers and customers. But oftentimes you have attachments that you use in documents to share, and those end up being stored in Outlook. SharePoint is the place where you store centralized files, but oftentimes, again, those things, you put stuff there, you can't find it afterwards. It becomes kind of a document graveyard. Now, Teams is an interesting one because now people are starting to use Teams to collaborate. You have meetings in Teams, you have channels in Teams, you have chat, group chat in Teams. And a lot of times when you're talking to somebody, it's just really convenient to be able to share a document with them and be able to just hand it off to them, or let them work on it. Now, most of us know that those Teams documents are really stored in SharePoint, but they're not easily accessible through SharePoint. They're accessible through Teams, and that's what makes it difficult. From a user perspective, once they're in Teams, it's very difficult to find them unless you know where you're looking for them. Then you've got OneDrive. So OneDrive is your personal place for putting documents, and this is where you are able to share with other people your personal documents. And that's just one more place to go to find where you may have written something and stored it. And then you've got Shared with Me, which are your access to people's documents that are stored in their personal OneDrive. And we'll look at all of these because this becomes really complicated when you're trying to find something across all these different apps to find them in one place. The kind of standard way in the Microsoft 365 is to go from browser to browser window in Teams, for the team, the channel, the location. In SharePoint, find the site, find the location, find the folder, find the library. And it's a lot of moving around to actually be able to find something. What does it look like? What's the experience? And I'm sure all of us are familiar with this experience. I just want to level set before I go into a live demo and show you how it's very easy to solve this problem today and make it easy for every user, not just IT people or people who are working with SharePoint documents, to be able to find stuff to do their everyday work. So let's just say I'm just a regular business user. We're using Microsoft 365, and I'm searching for that customer request for a proposal, the RFP document that I stored in it. I think it may be in several, I think I shared it with somebody in Teams, but I don't remember exactly where. So I go to a bunch of different channels, a bunch of different teams, look in some chats, can't find it. Then I go over to OneDrive. So I open the OneDrive window and I start to look there. No, don't find it either. And then I say, you know what, let me try in SharePoint. Maybe I stored it there, and I go to a couple different likely locations. And in one place I see 200 results, and the other place I see 227 results. And it just to plow through this and find what I really need to send and share and use, this is just a nightmare. And this is what people do on a daily basis. Even if they're able, if they know what they're supposed to do, oftentimes they don't even get to this stage. So the key to making this easy is to make the right thing the easy thing to do. You don't want to train people. If you need to start to train people how to do something, it's already dead in the water, because people don't want to change what they're doing. People want to focus on doing their work. They don't want to learn new technology. They don't want to learn how to use something. So even sending them a video about how to do something is oftentimes just way too much. So this is how we do it. And I'm going to show you this in a live demo in just a moment. This is, I'll show you the Harmony 365 product, which allows you to actually find documents quickly in Microsoft 365. So how would I do it? I'm going to search for that same customer RFP across all my Microsoft 365 locations, SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. I get, so now I get 450 results because I'm searching through lots of different places. Well, that's an awful lot, and that's the same problem I had before. But fear not, because what I can do then is to set the search scope very like I do in regular search when I'm searching in like Windows Explorer, and then use filters and sorting to be able to narrow things down until I get down to those 3 results where I'm looking for those 3 documents. I found that it's a customer RFP, it's a SharePoint document, I found a Teams document, I found a OneDrive document, all in one place, and it's just super easy to get to. I can click through, open them, share them, work on them, and it's basically just one step. Now, if this sounds like magic, it's not, and I'm going to switch over now and show you how actually this is done. Before I do that, just to give you some sort of context for what you're going to see here, Harmony 365 is an Outlook sidebar plugin. So what you'll see is you see it on the Outlook window, and on the right side of the screen, you'll see all the Microsoft 365 content repositories, and I'll show you that in real life instead of just watching this in a slide. So let's switch over to Outlook. And okay, so what you see in front of you now is my Outlook window, and you see it's just a regular Outlook window with the usual fields. And on the right side of the screen, you'll notice the Harmony window. Now, the Harmony window, as you saw just previously in that slide, gives you a full view of all your SharePoint locations, what the individual has access to. So in this case, what I have access to in SharePoint. What I have access to in Teams. So if I open up SharePoint, I see my SharePoint sites. I can see my team sites that I'm connected to, and I also see I can also click through and see my OneDrive documents. So it's very much like a Windows Windows Explorer, and I can navigate the tree very similar to the way that I would do in Windows. Just double click and I can go up and down the tree. So that's one easy way to find documents. And the huge advantage here is that people often spend a lot of their time in email. In fact, email is still probably the place where regular workers, not IT people or just people working on document security or compliance, everybody spends their day working in email. So having access to all your documents in that same window without requiring you to toggle out to another app and see a different user interface and start searching for things is what makes this super productive, because people can continue to work in the place that they spend their work time and be able to find things very quickly. A couple other things we've added here which make it really convenient is we have the ability to add favorites, so you can pin locations that you use often to the top of the screen so that you can get to locations very quickly. And another nice new feature recently added in Harmony 365 is this ability to see your recent documents. So things that you were working on recently, this is actually reading from the Microsoft Graph. So even if it's things that you didn't necessarily use through this interface, it will still be able to pull those documents and display those as things that you were recently working on. So just the fact that you have access to all your documents directly in the window here is a godsend. And it's not just a view of this is actually fully functional. So I can do things like I can open the document in a browser, I can show a preview of the document, and I'll do that in a moment. I'll show that after we do a search, but I can actually work on these. I can share the document with other people. So these are fully functional documents, and you're just looking at your normal Microsoft 365 document repositories. Now, we talked about finding things, You know, if you just look at the locations here, we got lots of different locations. There are many places, and you know, if I had to find a document, I don't remember where I put it, I'd be in hot water. But that's what this is all about, is being able to solve this very quickly. And what it is very simple. I just click in the window up here, and this becomes the search window, just like a search bar that you have in any application or in a browser. And what I'm going to do is, let me actually start by going to one of my favorite locations, because I think the document that I'm looking for is in this legal document. I have a document that I think is in here. I got a bunch of other things in here. So let me just do it. I'm going to do a text search for the word test, and I'm going to search in the current library. And well, I found one document, but that's not exactly what I was looking for. So there's a couple things I can do here. One is I can go and click on this button, on this hyperlink below, to extend the search scope to the current site and go up a level and look at a broader scope. Or what I can do is I can go up to the bar again, and instead of looking at the current library, I can pick the search scope. So oftentimes, if my search scope is too narrow, I don't get enough results. If I go too wide, I get too many results. So this granularity, this fine granularity that Harmony provides, is the key to being able to find things, is one of the keys to being able to find things, the things that you need to get to very quickly. So I'm just going to skip up to all locations, because I want to get more documents. So I'm going to skip a level, and I'm going to see what I got here. Well, I got a lot. So you see at the bottom here, I got 399 items. And I know it's in this list. It's probably in this list somewhere, but this is just way too much stuff to go through. There's no way I'm going to be able to plow through all of this. So let's try and figure out how I can narrow this down to find something that's a bit narrower in scope. What I'm going to do is here, I'm going to click, right click at the top of this column that shows where the documents come from. So maybe before I click on that, I'm just going to show here, you have all the information about the document, the name, you know which app it comes from, which is a really critical piece. It's a very valuable piece to know whether it was in a Teams location or a SharePoint location or a OneDrive location. You have the path to it, you know it was modified. We'll look at, as we drill down, we'll see that as we get more granular, we get more information about the document directly in this window. So I'm going to right click on the app filter column, and I'm going to filter the app, and now I'm going to say, let's see, do I want to pick all the documents that are in SharePoint and OneDrive or in Teams? This is very much like an Excel type of selection window. And I'm going to say, I think the document that I have is in Teams somewhere. So I'm just going to select all the documents in Teams. And I still have a lot here. I got 20 documents. And I think it's one of these. I think it's this test and plan. So one of the things I can do here is I can show the preview or save it. But what I want to do is I'm going to open that location. So I can open containing location. Harmony takes me to that place, to that folder. And now I can see not only this particular document, but I see all the related documents. Oftentimes, usually you store the documents in locations based on some sort of strategy, whether it be customer name or project name or type of product that you're working on or project. So once you are able to locate one document, it's just as a search tactic, it's easy to find other related documents just by getting to that place where related documents are likely to be found. And this is actually really important oftentimes, not only when you want to find something, but also when you want to classify something. I'll come back to this in a little bit. But the idea is that if you want to upload, sometimes some of your people, not everyone in your organization, but some people will want to share content either in SharePoint, Teams, or OneDrive with other people. If they do that, Harmony allows you to do that very easily, and this feature makes it easy to figure out where to store that information, because I can find related content and then know that likely that the document I want to store should be stored here as well. I'll come back to that in just a few minutes. Before I just look at this test plan and safety document, I scroll over to the right, and you can see that I also am able to see some of the metadata. So some of the metadata that we've defined for this document, who the client is, the project, not all the metadata is filled in, but there is a fair amount of metadata that we have already defined for this. Metadata is also something that you can search for. I'll show you that in just a moment. But before I do that, I just want to show you that if I look at this document, I can do things like show preview. It's very easy to do that directly from here. So I can preview the document without having to open it. And this way I'm also able to say, if I want to look at another document, I can just click on that document and preview it in the same window without having to open each document. This is a fantastic way to be able to find something. Maybe the document name is something which is similar to other ones, and you can just literally scroll up the page and click on documents to see which one you're looking for without having to open up each one individually. Of course, you want to open up each one, you just double click on it and it will open that document. You can also do other things here. For example, you can view the properties of the document. It'll show you all the properties and the metadata, so you can edit that. Here, you can also look at things like the version history. So this document has several old versions. You're able to restore old versions or open old versions to see perhaps what the changes were since a previous document was written and shared. A lot of capabilities of actually just doing work are available right here in your Outlook window, working with the documents that you need to work with on a daily basis. So this is a fantastic way to keep people in focus, in context, without having to toggle out to other apps and start looking for information, which we know is one of the leading causes of distraction, overload, stress that's related to trying to orient yourself in different applications as you move from window to window. You also have the capability here, a couple other things that are interesting. You can also share this document. So taking advantage of some of Microsoft's fantastic abilities to, I'm not sure which one here, I'm not sure this is going to work. Give this a shot. Yeah, that's, I think we'll just skip this one here. You take advantage of Microsoft's capabilities for sharing. I can share links with people, and it's very easy to be able to do that right from here. Another thing sometimes you need to do is maybe apply a retention label. So sometimes this is becoming an important thing for compliance. So again, regular business users don't really know about compliance, often don't care about compliance, and just allowing them to be able to do something super easy by setting that retention label here without having to go out and do it in the native interface is a fantastic way to save people a lot of effort and time for finding things. Now, you can do things other than just a regular other than a regular search. You can also use search by other things, like you can search by metadata. So if I'm using enterprise keywords, I can do a search based on that. I'm just using that for this example. I probably won't find anything here, but if I extend the search to all locations, I probably will find something. I found a bunch of other things. Now, one of the other things you can do, I showed you how you can filter by app, but you can also filter by all columns. So you can filter also by the document type. So we only have PDF and Word, but if I just want to say, I mean, this is kind of obvious, you'll just find the Word file, but it's easy just to also find all the, to filter by any of those filters. And of course, if you click on the top, it'll on the banner, it will sort alphabetically and reverse alphabet, of course. So this is just some very simple ways to do this. You can also search for other things. You can search out of the box. By the way, these are all out of the box features. You can also search by author, file extensions. So sometimes maybe I'm looking for I'm looking for all the just the Word files, and I can get to those very quickly, same way. So the idea is search scope, filters, sorting, use of metadata. These are all very useful and also very practical ways to get to the information you need quickly for your typical business user. Now, think about this. This is a product that is intended for anybody who uses Microsoft documents, Microsoft 365 documents. This is not necessarily somebody who needs to upload and share information, upload documents to SharePoint. It's people who might just be sharing documents in a Teams conversation, during a Teams meeting, sharing it in the chat. Any way that those documents get into Microsoft 365, you can find them here. And everybody working today, whether they're at home, in the office, or in some hybrid mode, needs to work with documents on a daily basis. One of the biggest problems is finding them. This is a classic way to be able to find them very quickly and be able to work with them. Now, just before rounding out the demo, I just want to show one thing very quickly, is because there are some people in the organization who do need to share documents or need to store documents in SharePoint or in Teams for various reasons, compliance reasons. So let's take a look at an example here. I'm going to go back to one of my locations, to my favorites. So I work in this legal folder. I do a lot of my work here, and I'm at this point, I'm working on a merger. You see that in the email, I have an email that came in about a possible merger that I'm working on with Sam, and we're providing some sort of consulting advice to this organization. So they send some documents over, and I want to be able to share this with colleagues using SharePoint as the centralized document repository in Microsoft 365. I can literally just take a document and drag it over to the sidebar, putting it in the library where I'm looking. And because this is a folder in a library that requires metadata, I'm prompted for the metadata, so I can just supply the metadata here, and I get all the values. This is related to Glory Inc. And then I can save that document. It asks if I want to save it as a minor or major version. And that document literally now is available in that SharePoint location. So no need to go and toggle over to SharePoint, save the document, upload it, and then supply the metadata. It's literally just drag and drop. As I mentioned before, the search capabilities are really critical here, because oftentimes people don't know where to share that document. At company profile with the Glory merger, where do I put it? Do I put it in the Glory folder? Do I put it in the merger folder? Don't know where to do it. Again, I can use the search capabilities to find like documents, so documents that are related to either similar mergers or other Glory documents. Find that, see that those documents, similar documents, are in that place, and then drag the document or the email. So for example, I can also store the email. I can drag the email across as well, and store that additionally. Again, I'm prompted for metadata because this folder requires metadata, and I can save it. Now, so the search is great for every user, but it's also great for those people who need to capture and classify information for either compliance or email management, project management, account management, whatever the business need is, to be able to use search to find the place to locate where you want to store the materials. So this is just a very quick demo that steps you through how everybody who uses Microsoft 365 can benefit from using Harmony, even if they don't need to store documents. Anyone who works with documents has trouble finding documents today, and this is the easiest way to do it right from the place where people are spending their work time. So I'm just going to switch back here for a moment to slides. By the way, these slides will be available after the presentation. We will send out an email with a link to the slides and to the recording as well. So just a couple of important notes. If you are a Harmony customer currently, this is very important information for you. I'm sure some of you are aware of this news item from last week that came up. It was really covered heavily even in the popular press, that Internet Explorer is no more. According to the blog post from the Microsoft GM, after 25 plus years of helping people use and experience the web, Internet Explorer is officially retired and out of support as of June 15th, 2022. So that was last week. And that's an important piece for Harmony customers to know, because if you are a Harmony customer and you're using versions prior to 9.3.2, you need to upgrade today, because the support that Microsoft provided for Internet Explorer is not just using the Internet Explorer as a browser. It also includes services that were provided to third-party apps like Harmony and like many other companies. And when those services are no longer provided, features stop to work in Harmony. So if you are using Harmony and you're an administrator, you either have started to hear from your employees that things are not working, some of the features are not working, or you will hear very quickly, and therefore it's critical that you upgrade to upgrade to 9.3.2, which is the latest version. There's a link in the next slide, and it'll be available also after the presentation. There are a bunch of other things, even if, and by the way, that includes, even if you're not using Internet Explorer as your default browser, even if you're using Chrome, as most organizations are, or even Edge, it doesn't matter because the services provided to the third-party apps use the IE services, irrespective of what you're using for your own internal browser. There are a number of other features, I won't go through all these here, that were related to things that we've added in the last couple of releases. Maybe just a few of these, some new team support for private channels to be able to upload and find things in private channels, supporting external share of folders and document sets, which is a Microsoft 365 feature, but surfacing that through Harmony, and maybe some of the accessibility features which have been asked for by a number of companies for disabled use of the product using things like WCAG 2.1 keyboard support and JAWS narration support to be fully compliant with those standards. If you want to check out everything that's new with Harmony, there's a link at the bottom. What's new with Harmony takes you to the site where you can see what's new in every release. Particularly interesting if you are a customer and you want to see what it is that you'll get if you upgrade to the latest version. As a final point, I would like to make available to you a 30-day evaluation copy, fully functional 30-day free trial that you can get by clicking either on the link on the right side of the screen or using the QR code. If you are an existing Harmony customer, you can download the new product, the new version of the product through the download area, the customer portal. Through the link on the left side, you'll be asked to authenticate. Then you'll have access to your copy of the software, and also the QR code will take you to that page as well. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for your participation today. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them at this point. I'll turn it back over to you, Maya.
Thanks, David. First question we have, can I filter the document list by author as well?
Absolutely. Any of the columns that you have, you can either filter by author, or you can search by author. Either way, any of the columns that you have at the top can be filtered, so you can definitely do that. In fact, if you want to check out one of our videos that shows this on our website, there's a nice new video that describes how this feature works. It shows exactly the example of filtering using the author.
Thanks, David. Can I only find document that I'm authorized for?
So when you're using Harmony, you're basically logged in as yourself to Microsoft 365 through the window. So anything that you would see in the browser is available through the Harmony window. There's no extra level of security layer that you have to vet Harmony for. What we're doing is you're basically just accessing your own things through Microsoft 365 through the sidebar. So anything that you have access to, you see. If you don't have access to it, you won't see it. That goes for navigation. It also goes for search. So if you're not privy to certain documents, you won't see them in the search results.
Thanks, David. We have Harmony installed where I can access SharePoint, but I don't see how to connect Teams to Harmony.
Okay, so there's probably two things you need to check. So there's two versions of Harmony. The Microsoft 365 Experience Edition is the edition that enables you to work with Teams. Some of the older customers are working with legacy versions that do not support Teams. So you need to check that. You also have the capability of, as you look in the product, and maybe I will just switch back here for a moment and show this. Just show this briefly. Going back to the product. If I look at the all locations, you see under Teams, I have a click for more action, so I can say Discover Teams, and there's a way to, it'll basically, if you're logged into Microsoft 365, it'll locate all the teams that you have access to. You just click on them, and you can add them to the search. So anything you have access to in Microsoft 365, you can add to the sidebar. Anything you have access to will be provided in the search results as well.
Thanks, David. We have time for one last question. What happens if I have hybrid environment with both SharePoint on premises and online? Does Harmony search in both?
So out of the box, there have been specific requests from customers to support that type of hybrid environment. What I showed you today works with Microsoft 365 out of the box only. So if you have a hybrid environment, the indexing and all that, you will not get results from both locations.
David, thank you for a great presentation, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. You will receive an email with a link to view this webinar again within a couple of days. If you submitted questions that we didn't answer live, don't worry, we'll get back to you. And we look forward to meeting you again at our next webinar. Bye-bye.